I always thought betrayal would come loud through shouting, doors slamming, maybe even violence. But when I discovered my wife was cheating, the moment came wrapped in quiet confirmation. A missed call, a lipstick-smudged shirt that wasn't mine. Then, finally, a hotel receipt she'd accidentally left in her coat pocket. Her name was on it, and so was his. I didn't yell. I didn't ask her anything. He came to my doorstep, I simply smiled, poured myself a drink, and started preparing for the moment I knew was coming next. He came to my doorstep 3 days later. I had never met him, but I recognized his face from the private investigator's photos. Expensive jeans, fake designer shades, gold chain, and a grin that said he thought he'd won something. The kind of guy who walked like the world owed him praise. I opened the door, and he didn't even introduce himself. He just said, "So you're..." The husband thought it was time we cleared the air. The arrogance in his tone was stunning. I didn't speak. I didn't invite him in. I just stepped aside, letting the door swing wide. He took that as a victory and strutted in like he owned the place. Sat down on my leather couch like he'd done it 100 times. Maybe he had. My blood boiled at the thought, but my face stayed calm. I sat across from him, stared, and waited. He looked uncomfortable almost immediately, like he expected something, anger, words, threats. But I gave him nothing. Silence has weight. And in that room, it got heavier by the second. He cleared his throat. "Look, I know this is awkward, but she's not happy." Probably knew that, right? You seem like a smart guy. I just tilted my head slightly. He fidgeted. It wasn't supposed to happen, but feelings are feelings, you know. Still, I said nothing. No nod, no shake, just watching. His bravado started too. His bravado crack, his hands twitching now. That's when I stood up and walked to the cabinet. I pulled out a manila envelope and dropped it on the table in front of him. His name was on it. So was hers. Inside photos, screenshots, and legal documents, proof of the affair, and most importantly, a letter from my lawyer. I didn't say a word. I just sat back and watched his expression shift from smugness to unease to outright panic. "Were you divorcing her?" he asked. I smiled, voice suddenly smaller. I smiled, my first gesture of the night, and simply slid the rest of the papers toward him. They detailed the cease and desist notice, the clause in my prenup, and the upcoming property split, which left her with almost nothing. The man across from me blinked like he had just woken from a dream. This wasn't what he thought he walked into. Thought I'd beg or he walked in to explode. Instead, I'd outplayed them both. He leaned back, silent now. The silence he had once filled with swagger now became his prison. I watched him realize that all the charm, all the bravado in the world couldn't undo the trap he'd walked into. He hadn't just slept with another man's wife. He'd stepped into a game he didn't know had already ended, and he'd lost. Finally, he stood up. No parting shot, no fake confidence. Couldn't even look me in the eye anymore. As he turned toward he walked outdoor, I stood up too, not to stop him, but to remind him who owned this space. He paused like he wanted to say something, but he didn't. He walked out the same door he'd strutted into. This time, his shoulder slumped. Later that night, Samira came home to find the locks changed in a single sheet of paper waiting for her. The divorce agreement. She knocked, called, begged, but I didn't open the door. It's just like I hadn't opened my mouth earlier. Some betrayals don't deserve explanations. Some exits don't need announcements. Now, months later, I've rebuilt my life with peace. People ask how I handled it so calmly. The truth. Silence is stronger than screaming. Dignity cuts deeper than revenge. He came into my home cocky, thinking I'd crumble. I gave him something worse than a fight. I gave him silence, and he'll never forget it.